part of it is just like getting through everything and like kind of build like having that confidence in yourself that you know you can get through anything.
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure like for you, because I I actually did some research on you and I saw that I mean you have a company that went public, which I want to talk about later. But one of the most interesting things was that you worked with Kim Kardashian and Kylie Kardashian, if that's right.
Through my beauty company, yeah, we launched a lot of celebrities and highly influential people's beauty brands, their perfumes, personal care items. So when I had that beauty company and built that, it was 18 years of my life. We launched over 1,200 brands, so it was quite an interesting journey. And that company is one of the reasons why I pivoted and changed to the model where I am today because I made so many people very wealthy and so many brands very wealthy. And I was just an ant farm in the middle, which at the time I was happy and honored to be. But you start to get sick of not having attachment to the upside of all the work that you're doing. So that's why my journey led me to what I've created to what I have today.
What do you mean when you say ant farm? Like you were a middleman?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the beauty company again. I was honored to work with these brands and these iconic people. I loved my warehouses full of inventory, and then you start to see these brands being sold to LVMH, L'Oreal, Revlon, Estee Lauder for hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars. And I was their first distributor. I was their first retailer. I was the one that helped them get some recognition and momentum. Granted, these brands did amazing jobs managing their path, but I know I was part of that journey, and a lot of the times the first domino was part of that journey. So when those brands got sold, I my model was wrong. I had no equity in the brand, even though I was key into helping them launch. And those other companies that have like the L'Oreal's of the world, they have their own distribution model. So I lost the brand, and I didn't have any upside to the exit that the equity holders had. So having that happen over and over again, one day I was like, this has to stop. I can't do this anymore. I need to own as much as I possibly can, which is what led me to start building and acquiring and starting companies over and over and over again.
Okay, I saw that you acquire, I think, so you have a holding company, and if I'm not mistaken, there's something around 90 companies that you've like founded or like kind of bought over and acquired.
So there's over 110 companies in Esposito Intellectual Enterprises. That's my private, was known as a holding company. These are companies that are either wholly owned, substantial equity ownership, majority ownership, or work with companies that want to work with me. They bring me on their team, and I have an equity slug for having my participation and helping those companies grow and helping them create some value. I'm The whole model is not a typical VC where you have one maybe unicorn and 90 failures. My model is I want everything that we're working on to succeed and to be on a path of success. And then all these companies that I'm attached to, they work together, create opportunities, open up new markets, share resources. So it's this really enjoyable ecosystem I bought with just amazing good people involved. There's no greed, ego, or um, awful people. It took me 20 plus years to eliminate all that from my life. And finally, there's just a really, really calm environment where we just get to work every day.
So like on that topic, um, because you are interacting with all these different companies and you kind of want them all to succeed, and you said it's not like the VC. Does that mean you invest at a later stage, like after product market fit?
So if there are companies or products or IP that I create because I see a need for it in the market, we put resources behind that and we build that. If there are companies that want to work with me and they bring me on, capital secondary. I need to de-risk the capital. Old me used to write checks and invest into things because I believed in it and I believed in the people, and I had no hands-on capabilities. I was passive, and that never worked out. At least for me, it never worked out. So I changed that model and I said, okay, everybody needs capital. The whole world needs capital. But what do you do? What's your business? How are you making money? Because if you need capital today and you still haven't figured out how to make money, you're going to need capital again. So why be on that hamster wheel of raising money, running out of money, raising money, running out of money? Let's get you earning money. So the first step is to say, what is your product? What are you servicing? What are you trying to sell? and see where they're at. And I work with companies from infancy all the way up to high growth, or even I love working with companies that are completely distressed and lost, because I've been there and I can 9 out of 10 times I can help turn that around and create value. So I look at the whole plan and I say, okay, here's an idea with your product or what your company's all about. Here's a new market that we can go after that maybe you didn't think about or have access to. And I could drop that in my ecosystem of companies and create opportunities and create value and create momentum. Then from there, we look at, all right, do we have some earnings coming in? Is there a pipeline of revenues? Do we have contracts coming in? Then it's a lot more appealing to look at capital or financing the company or putting any resources in the company, because at least there's profitable earnings coming in. So it's not just, hey, here's money, hope it works out. It's, okay, let's get a plan and a strategy and let's get you into making money, because that's the idea of being in business, and the idea of staying in business is being profitable. So how do we get you into that roadmap?
Okay, so I want to kind of get into the strategy part that you're talking about, but before we do that, I I want to understand like your background, because right now you're in a unique position where you have the capital to be able to enter different types of industries and then kind of make an impact, which is very intelligent. Because I've also thought about that where, for example, with my connections, if I could build a network large enough that they could all kind of service each other, it would kind of work in a similar model,
Yep.
which is why like one of the big things I've been trying to do is build my connections. So I'm just curious, like, did you start with money? Or like, how did you build up the first kind of nugget that you were able to then distribute?
I started with, I've always hustled, even as a young kid. I always was out earning money. So I was always figuring out how to, if I wanted something, I'll go and earn and I'll go and buy it, not my handout trying to ask people for money. So from there, I just utilize that same mindset into, my whole brain works find a need, fill a need. So wherever there's a need, I will fill it and we'll find a way to make money with it. So that's just how I'm wired, and it could be any industry. It's the same principle over and over and over again. So with the beauty industry, I love technology. I was working with computers and coding as a kid. So, in the late 90s, being in the beauty industry and trying to go to salon and spa and drive around to all these locations trying to sell nail polish and shampoo and lotions and potions, especially being in New Jersey and New York, it just wasn't practical. I could not go to enough places to make it make sense for me. You're stuck in traffic. You have appointments with stylists that aren't even there, or they're busy working on a client, or a nail technician that doesn't speak English and you're trying to sell them something. It just, you start going crazy. So I said, there's got to be a better way. Went home and started building a website to bring people to me. Find the need, fill a need. So it was great timing. I actually wanted to hire a company to build what I wanted to build, but at that time there was no WordPress or Wix or Shopify. It was millions and millions of dollars to build what I envisioned, and that wasn't going to happen. So I did it myself, and again, great timing. We launched a kick-ass site, made a big name for ourselves. We had brands that wanted to be on our platform, and then I became Amazon's first beauty luxe retailer. I became Jet.com's first retailer. I was first to launch the Google Checkout wallet, which ultimately was a failure, but still was amazing to be an Italian kid selling beauty supplies working with Google. So, when you don't have to have a lot of resources or money to make a big impact. If your strategy is consistent and you're trying to accomplish something and you have a little momentum behind you, it's you can move mountains. So I hate that people think you need to have money to do stuff. There's more opportunities now to be able to put yourself in business and actually create value than ever before in humanity, and you can make a nice living creating value for yourself.
How would you get started if you had to kind of start today?
Well, we kind of we do that in real time. When we start with new products or opportunities or companies, you want. Well, let me back up a little bit. There's a big disconnect that I see with startups, and it's across all different types of industries. They think they need billion-dollar valuations and million-dollar contracts to feel validated or to feel self-worth, and that needs to stop. You get on this really debilitating path when you're thinking that way, because you feel insecure when you're not getting those things. So I try to get people when I speak with them, and I'm like, all right, let's scale it back. Let's just get you in business. Let's focus locally. Whatever your product or your solution you're trying to do, focus on your local community where you physically are and sell something. See if you can get somebody to buy what you're trying to sell, and grassroot it. And then once you start to build that great foundation and you perfect your model and your pricing, and again, I don't, would need an example, but whatever you're trying to put out in the market, you don't have to go global day one to feel like you're accomplishing something. You should really get more minimalistic in your thinking and proving out the company that you're creating and creating some revenues. And then you're able to easily communicate with investors or friends and family or capital and say, listen, here's the product. I went and sold it to these 3-4 mom and pop stores, this restaurant, this little retailer, or this whatever in your local town. You're in business. You actually sold something. You created something and you sold something. And from there, it's a much easier story to get support because it's tangible. People can understand, oh, I get it. You're trying to service a need and it's working in your local economy. And then you get out to the next town and the next city, and then you get to the next state, or then you get to the next country. But you got to start small so you can get the flywheel going. If people just want to be overnight billionaires, and that's what they see online and what they feel is they're deserved or what's due, and that's not reality.
Okay. So like if let's say you started, because you said when you first started you did your beauty products and you were able to become the first seller on Amazon and make all these great connections. Like when you first started, you didn't have a big name for yourself that could carry you into those rooms.
No.
How did you do it? Like,
Picking up a phone and calling everybody you can call until somebody takes your call, and you ask them, and you're humble with people, and you ask for help, and you get to where you need to get. It may take some work. It's the other thing that I see missing a lot is there's really not a lot of thick skin out in the world anymore. People have a hard time with rejection and crumble. Get rejected, get your ass kicked, get slapped around as much as you can, and keep fighting back. That's how you become resilient, and that's how you become capable of handling anything. But I would pick up the phone and call a CEO of a company and have a conversation with them. I would do that as a 18, 19-year-old. I just was never intimidated by people. And if I saw an opportunity, I believe I'm very tactful in my methods in accomplishing that and creating a bond and creating a friendship. That's the other thing too. People go in right for the ask. You can't do that. If you want to create an opportunity, you need to create a relationship. You need to create trust. It takes time. Every day I open my LinkedIn and there's 100 messages with a novel of an ask, and none of them say, "Hey, how are you, Brian? Hope you're having a good day." Nothing. I just go right into, "Here's what I need. You have it. I want it, and I deserve it, and this is what I want to do." No, I'm never. I don't care if you're Jesus Christ. I'm never going to do that. You need to build a relationship with people, and people, again, it's they want it now. And I shouldn't say people like everybody, but the masses that I see, people just want instant gratification and they want instant success. But if you don't have the tools and resources you need to survive, instant success, which happens, becomes an instant failure, which becomes an instant nothing in your bank account because you didn't know what was really important. You didn't really understand what life's all about. And when you have those massive wins, like I've seen this in the crypto world, like the amazing amount of wealth that's being created for people, and they were smart enough to buy these things, but they're out having $500,000 nightclub bills in Las Vegas. They're buying Lamborghinis. They're doing yacht parties. It's nauseating that the wealth that you just were gifted because you were smart enough to buy into something, you're just immediately depleting it. It's like the dot-com bubble. It's humanity repeats itself over and over and over again, and it's sad to see. especially from someone like me that's been to hell and back multiple times. When you get a gift like that and you don't cherish it and create generational wealth, or at least help people with it, you want to show off something, put $500,000 to St. Jude, not at a Las Vegas nightclub.
Yeah, 100% agree with the connection part. The other day I met a friend in my apartment building and I asked him what he was doing and he said, "Oh, I'm doing networking. My teacher had just introduced me to um one of the one of the executives or someone who works at Alibaba, which is a huge company." And I said, "Oh, you're about to email him. What's in the email?" And he showed me the email and I looked at the email and I go, "What the hell is that?" The email was just like, "Hi, my name is X. My teacher X introduced me to you and said that you had this position in this company. I am looking for a job in the company in the near future when I graduate, so please find attached my resume." And I looked at him and I go, "Is this seriously what you're gonna send? This is the first message. Like everyone is sending the same exact message,
Yeah.
and he knows that everyone just wants him because of his position, and no one actually cares about him."
Yeah.
And I told him like, you have to build the connection first. Just ask him about his day.
Yeah.
Ask the guy how his life has been. Ask the guy, like, just ask him about his experience in his career. And then you can go in for the ask, but later on, after you develop everything.
Later. And there may never even be an ask when you build that friendship and you actually nurture the relationship. That could organically turn into them sharing opportunities with you, and you never even ever ask for anything. So
Yep.
it's great to hear that you have the capability. You're an old soul. You understand the human connection is very important, and what differentiates us from the rest of the mammals and animals in the world is that we have this ability for empathy, and we have this ability to love and to want to help people. And when that's been so desensitized over the last few decades, whether you want to blame music, TV, film, video games, you can blame anything you want, but we make a choice to desensitize ourselves. We make a choice to put up that wall and not have those feelings for one another. But it's great that you pick up on it, because that's what's going to make you different in the world, and that's going to make you stand out. So, catch 22 is, I am glad that 99% of the people I meet are not like that, because it makes it easier for us to
Yeah.
accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly thought about it, and I kind of think it leads a little bit back to the schooling system, um, mostly because they don't teach you how to communicate anymore. And honestly, I've never been very good at like I've never liked school, and
Me
I've
neither.
never I've never been one to want to be an engineer or a doctor where school is really necessary. So I think that's kind of helped me a lot because I've had to find other ways to get around different obstacles. And I think that's something people have to learn, like the building connections. So like on the part of building connections, how would you do it? Like what advice could you give?
Yeah, I don't. I think you can learn it to a certain aspect, but you also need it to be genuine, right? You genuinely build a connection because your heart wants to. I don't know if that could be taught. I guess you can fake it, but I think I sense it when it's not genuine. I sense it when it's just you're just appeasing me to get what you want. Like I pick
Yeah.
up on it like very quickly. So you need to find a way, if it's not genuine and you really just want to ask this, you need to find a way to have your brain disconnect the want and your expectations and your entitlement and all these other things that you think you have, and you deserve that this person should just respond to you and give you what you want without even building a relationship. The easiest thing to do is you got to break humanity down to this most simplest form. We like the ability, I think in general, and I think on the masses, people like to help people. So
Yeah.
from my aspect, and I've always been vulnerable in my communication. I've always been, listen, this is who I am. There's no ulterior motive. You may need to learn that. It may take a few interactions. Like, if I'm genuinely reaching out to you, is I feel that there's an opportunity that I can bring value to you, and therefore we all win. I've never gone out to an opportunity or a person or a company and had my hand out. I always wanted those conversations with, I know what you guys are doing. I love what you're doing. Here's what I'm doing. I think there's a need for this in the market, and I think we can make you guys more money. I think there's a way to make more value or boost your balance sheet. I think there's a way we can create something together. So, depending upon how you're wired and your personality is key, and you need to have to a level some good confidence without arrogance about you, and you need to be vulnerable, and you should go into a conversation with, again, building that relationship on that new connection and going into that relationship with an idea that you want to help them, and or ask them flat out for help, like with that case with the student in Alibaba. I would love to build a relationship with you. It's amazing what your company has done. I've admired you guys forever. I know the best of what you're doing is still yet to come, and I'd love to find a way to be in that system at some point. And I would love for your help and guide me in doing that. And there's a good chance if it's worded right and the person can connect, there's true sincerity in that message, they would want to help you.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to providing value. Like especially nowadays, especially the kids my age who are younger, they kind of just want to make quick money. Oh, what's the next crypto coin that's gonna pump? Or how can I sell this sneaker? Can I flip this or that? Um, what's the next little scam that I could do?
Yeah.
And I'll tell them like, listen, the only way you can really make money that's sustainable is to develop a skill and providing value to someone. Because unless you provide value, there's no use of you.
It's true. And consistently, like you said.
Yeah. So then
True.
on you mentioned that when you connected with people, you're very honest. So you're unapologetically yourself.
Always.
Yeah, why do you think that like because that is something that you need confidence to do. Wouldn't you agree? Like,
No, I think you just need to know who you are.
hmm,
Confidence comes through experience. When you know who you are, you can communicate, I think, very well every message because you're not filtering bullshit through it.
hmm,
It's just coming right from Brian Fallon said it best: heart to limb to pen, gaslight anthem. Like it just comes right from your soul. And when you can do that, a lot of things happen. You don't have to remember the bullshit that you said. You don't have to continuously have this journal of all these lies or nonsense that you said. And that's a lot of work for people. I see it all the time. And I can catch people all the time. It's actually a game for me. But when you're just always yourself, it may come across as, oh, that person's confident, or it may come across, oh, that person has their stuff together, but they're just them.
yeah,
They're not affected by anything. At times I wish there were things that I want. There's nothing that I even want. There's no materialistic things that I want. There's no car that I want. I don't have that in me. And that kind of sucks too when you work your ass off and you're doing all these things and there's nothing at the end of the day I would go out and want to do or want to go and spend that on. So I have to deal with that because I'm trying to figure out what is my mission here? What am I here for? What's the point? Because for me, it's not money. I don't doesn't it's not real to me. You need it to eat and have shelter and have clothes. It's a necessary evil, but to me, it's not my North Star. So for me, it's actually connections with people. It's creating things with people. It's having that bond, and I love the idea that everything in life happens for a reason, and I can look back to even the hardest moments of my life. There was a reason for it, and when you're in that moment and you're getting your butt kicked, it doesn't make sense. But when you get out of it and you look back, you're thankful that you went through that, whatever that experience was. You're now a little bit smarter, and you realize you had strengths you didn't even know you had that you utilized, and you got through it. And maybe you had a buddy in the trenches with you that helped you, and you formed a bond because somebody was there for you when you were going through a dark time. So there's a lot in life that can suck if you focused on it, but there's a lot in life that's great that should garner most of your attention.
yeah. I think people today, on the topic of the connection part, they're very censored with what they say. Everyone's scared to say something that offends another person,
Yeah.
and I think that breeds a culture of fakeness. I don't know the word for it, but ingenuine. Like they're just not genuine, and I just think like when you have a society where everyone is not genuine to each other, it's impossible to make connections that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And then that's when you have people going around doing stupid shit and like just scrolling on their phones all day.
Yeah, that's true. And you may have a quick win or a quick success in that model because you're motivated by that transaction. Like you were saying, a kid wanted to flip a pair of sneakers or flip a meme coin. But if you're just transactional, again, you're chasing that transaction all the time. In my mind, you're lost because you're just constantly chasing that. It's kind of a slot machine effect. You get fixated on trying to get those cherries to line up, where you get the win. It's a drug. But what is the point of that? Is it to buy something else so you can flip for more money because you want to start a business? Is it to keep buying things because you want to flip for more money because you want to get a car, or you want to get an apartment, or you want to get a home? Like, if you need a reason for that energy and those transactions. But if it's just to transact because you want to show off online that you bought something stupid, or you went somewhere stupid, or you got on a private plane because you wanted to show off how stupid you are, like, there's just like, what is the motivations behind those transactions? Transactions are fine if it's leading you to a goal that you have in place.
Yeah, I think it comes down to your purpose. And people think that successful people, their purpose is to get rich because they want money. But from speaking to a bunch of different successful people, I've started to realize that most of them don't really do it for the money. For me, for example, when I was younger, I always wanted to be rich. I wanted money, and it's just like, why did I want it? It's just like, oh, I just want money. But recently, I've realized that I actually want to help people. Like
And
the money isn't really a big part of it, and it's like I just want to help people and honestly win. Like it's competitive, and money just happens to be the way that you can quantify how much you're winning.
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Um, yeah. So you were talking about like the experiences that you've been through. What's been like one of the worst experiences that they've taught you most? Like take me through it.
The worst experience I went through was in 2016. A drunk driver hit me in Nashville 4:30 in the afternoon, and at that point, I had about 30 or so companies in my holdings and a very wrong business model. Even though it was successful after that accident, it was proven that it was a very wrong business model. And through that moment, over the year and a year and a half from that accident on, everything started to fall apart because I wasn't myself. I had post what's it called, concussion.
PTSD.
No, well, a little bit. I have post concussion issues. My brain is everything. I can, they fire fast, so that's how I keep everything moving. I remember everything. But when that happened and dealing with that, I couldn't even do 2+2, and all of the people around me were the wrong people, even the wrong legal, wrong accounting. Everything was wrong. And when you don't have a good system behind you, and you're pulled out of it, and I'm the person that's everything. I was the deal maker. I was the one leveraging everything. I'm the one with all the relationships. I was the one keeping everything moving. And when I became incapacitated to do that to the level that I'm used to, I relied on people that were not capable of that, and basically lost everything. Went negative, way negative. And it was very dark for me because a lot of the brands that I helped grow, now they were very successful, and I needed help. I needed them to keep shipping me product so I can come back. They wouldn't ship me product. Brands that I helped start were suing me. I had major financial issues because everything, again, started to fall apart. So I quickly said to myself, I can't be angry with any of this. Like, what has happened is all because of me. Everything my whole system, everything is me. Those are all my actions. The way that people were acting towards me is not their fault. That's who they are. That's how they're wired. It's so I had to say, okay, I got a big financial issue. My health is coming back, so I can come back from this. But I can't have the lingering mental anger with humanity or be pissed at all these people that I've helped. I had employees I co-signed for cars for homes for, and when I needed their help to help me rebuild, they weren't there for me. So
Mm-hmm.
you can go one of two ways. You can get very bitter and angry and hate the world, and I was very close to that. Or you can say, I'm gonna get through this. I'm not gonna file bankruptcy because I'm gonna pay everything back. It may take me for the rest of my life, but I'm not gonna file bankruptcy. I'm gonna fix this. And from that point on, I just learned how to rebuild, and I became grateful for the woman that hit me in that accident because she could have killed somebody. So I will take that hit. It chose me, and that's what it was. And secondly, I think I needed my entire world or my little mini empire to get completely destroyed so I could rebuild it stronger and with all the right resources and support and value that I bring, because I never valued myself correctly. And I had to learn how to do that in order to rebuild and find ways to earn and start paying back debt and start creating real substance again. I needed to value myself. I'm the most important piece of my puzzle, and I never looked at myself that way. So it was a great learning experience, and I started to find ways to earn and get the equity from companies that I should have deserved to have previously. And I found ways to go out and earn and hustle and bring in any scraps that I could as I was rebuilding. So dark time, awful time. I'm grateful. I really don't want to do that ever again, but if I had to, I know I can get through it. And my world just elevated from then on out.
What was like the technical part of that? Like, what was the process? Like, you start, things start falling apart, and then you start getting your health back. So you're getting stronger. Like, you're eventually getting stronger and stronger, to the point where you're able to actually go back in and continue fighting. Like, what were the specific like steps that you actually took to kind of come back from like almost bankruptcy?
I, I mean, it was a free for all. Like there was no systematic approach. It was just I'm storming Normandy and I'm getting bullets firing at me everywhere. How do I get to where I need to get and find support and resources wherever I could? So it was a controlled chaos, if I can label it as anything. But the steps where I need to find anywhere from anybody to provide, I need to work. I never have, I didn't have a GoFundMe page. I said I need to go and work. I needed to find people that would pay me. And I never had to ask for that. Like I needed to go out and say, I need to earn. And I also had to find this very clever, not lying, but I had to have this clever balance of I'm still capable. There's a lot of people don't want to go down with a sinking ship. I mean, I was the Titanic. I was on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean, so I had to give this air about me that I'm honest about what I went through, but I'm still very capable and I believe a very smart business person, and I can create value more now than ever because I'm creating value out of nothing now, like less than nothing. So that's why when I hear entrepreneurs or founders say they can't do something and maybe they're even, maybe they're making a little bit of money. I mean, that was millions in debt. So if I can come back from that with less than nothing and you have a brain and capable person, you can do anything. So I don't have any, you don't get sympathy from that from me when I hear people talk like that.
Was it like a mindset switch? Because like, I know that entrepreneurs usually have a slump. Like, how do you get out of the slump? You know?
Well, everybody has a slump. Baseball batters have a slump. There's different versions of a slump. If it's a financial slump, then you have to do certain things. If it's a personal slump that you're going through some,
Like a thing's not working out slump.
well, that's life. Life doesn't work out. it should be a board game. I mean, it's just it doesn't work out even if you have a ton of money, and it doesn't. Nothing is perfect. So, um, my point is, you just have to feel like you're not being picked on, right? You're not. It's not. It's not. Oh, God hates you or the world's turning on you. Happens to everybody. Everybody goes through some hell. Some people go through more hell, and there's probably some sort of karma justice to that from prior lives that they have. But people go through things. You you can't be. And I'm trying to answer your question because it's a great question. But there's so many different personalities. There's people that are self sabotagers, and I think I was at some point a self sabotager because I didn't really have great support around me. So when you don't have people that believe in you around you, you lose belief in yourself, or you think that maybe you're crazy, maybe you can't do this. So I always tell. I think one of the biggest life lessons I like to share with people is, again, through personal experience. There's this whole inner circle world that people just tend to have one inner circle, and I did up until maybe a decade ago, where I changed that, and I have two inner circles now. I have my family, friends, loved ones that don't understand entrepreneurship, and they don't understand the trials and tribulations and hell that entrepreneurs go through. That inner circle gets the best of me, not as a business person, and only gets done transaction confirmations that I share with them, if I ever want to share it with them. I don't tell them, oh, we're closing a deal with so and so, or we just did this contract, or this is a new client, because if that doesn't work out, or it's delayed and they're asking you about it, it can get friction, and it can be from anybody in your inner circle. So you only tell them done, signed, delivered deals. That's it. And they can't contradict you with, or can't come back at you and make you feel bad about yourself, because they're not entrepreneurs, most of them. They don't understand that things take time or there's delays. And then you have your professional inner circle, and people maybe you meet on LinkedIn, or maybe just a group of like-minded lunatic entrepreneurs that we all are. Those are the people that you share your business dealings with, because they get it. They know things are messy. They know things take time. They're there to support you. The right ones. The wrong ones, you got to cut their head off like a snake and get them out of here. Get them out of your inner circle. But the right ones, they're in the trenches with you. They got your six and they're firing behind you, and they want to see you win, and they want to see you succeed. And then when the tables have turned and they're going through it, you're there helping them. Like that's your ride or die professional inner circle. But the one you grew up with, do not share anything with them, because then what happens is you have no safe place to go. Right? You're out in the world trying to work, or you're in school trying to create business, and you're sharing your day with your entire world. And then when things get a little bit hairy, all these people that you shared your day with are asking you about it. You get a lot of anxiety, you get a lot of angst, and you kind of want to run away because you don't have a safe place to go to. So hopefully that makes some sense. This is something I wish I learned a lot sooner in my career.
No, that actually has helped me a lot. A couple weeks ago, I went to Florida and I met my friends that I haven't seen for 2 years, because I was in boarding school in Spain, and I was like trying to tell them about what I wanted to do in my business career, and honestly, they just did not really care. And I left the trip feeling like, damn, is this really the end? Like, is this where I stopped talking to like these friends and kind of upgrade to a different type? Which was kind of like sad. But
Yeah.
now that you've spoken about that, it's like I can kind of separate them.
Oh, for
I always thought, I had to have friends that wanted to do business with me so that we could all grow together.
No, you need to have all different types of people in your life. I mean, you, you can't be an entrepreneur 24/7. I mean, even a greatest brain surgeon isn't working on brains 24/7. Like, you need to detach yourself from that, and you need to have an escape. And this escape could be your group of friends that you were down in Florida with, and you try to discuss entrepreneurship. It didn't connect. That doesn't mean they don't believe in you. That doesn't mean that you don't have anything in common anymore. It just means, okay, that's not a topic that we should have together. If any of them ever want to be an entrepreneur or they go out on their own, then they'll know, hey, they can come to you because you're doing it and then you can be a resource for them. And that group should just be, if you want to keep the friendship, that's up to you. But that should be a group that you go out and you tell past stories about, you laugh about, you grab dinner with, and you just keep it at a level where you're not disappointed and you're not sharing things with them that they just don't get because they're not wired the way that you are.
So it is fine to have like friends outside of. Oh, okay. That's it. That's another way of looking at it. Huh. Thank you.
My pleasure. Call your friends after
Uh,
this.
no, I will. um, so you mentioned that on your path of coming back, you had to find the right people. What's the process behind that? Like, what are the green and red flags you're looking out for?
Well, right now, I only surround myself with people that have empathy, strong morals and values, and aren't motivated by money or things. Like I could be in a room or trying to do a deal with somebody, or and somebody starts talking about their watch, or they start talking about their trophy wife or their vacation home. I get up and leave, or I'm gonna throw up on them. So those are my two options. So for me, I just need to surround myself with down to earth, humble people. Even in all the companies that I work with, I choose not to work with more people than I choose to work with because we don't align on that. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean that I'm judging them. I just know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I go deaf when people start talking like that. And because a big reason is it's just never been me, but the second biggest reason is on my journey when things fell apart, I was surrounded by people like that all they were concerned about was money and things. And if you're only concerned about that, then you're going to put me in harm's way because you'll do anything you possibly can to get more money and more things. And I don't want to be collateral damage in your journey. So those are the characteristics I look for, and I'm very sensitive to people that don't fall in line with that, and I don't want to be around it. And I think that's very grateful. I think that's true freedom where I can make a choice. I don't have to be around it. So I get up and I leave. I try to be respectful. But sometimes I think people need a little shaken up and be like, what is wrong with you? What are you talking about? Were you like a 6-year-old kid talking like this? Like what happened to you on your path? How did this happen? So yeah, that's my story for that.
Yeah. I think,
There's
yeah.
even icons, not to interrupt you, but there's people I lost respect for on the way they present themselves on social media platforms, that they're professionals that I used to admire and respect, and then I see the way that they talk and how disconnected they are with reality, and they're showing off their watch collections. They have these slow motion videos of them, boarding a yacht. And I'm like, what happened to you? That wasn't who you were when we used to talk or work together. Like there's just uh, people get so lost on this, and I pray they come back and find what is truly important and what I think is more of a realistic life. But I lost a lot of respect for the way that people present themselves in these forums, and I just think that they have the highest level of insecurity to do that. There's no reason to do that. You want people to admire you. Okay, well, do good for other people and you'll be very admirable. But you also, when you do that, you alienate people. Like you make people feel bad. You make them feel they're not good enough because they don't have what you have. Or you make people sign up for your program that you're tricking them. You're making them pay a lot of money to go see you speak or to go and resell your product, and you can have all of this too. Like that is offensive to me, and I don't sign up for any of those people that do that, and they just keep taking from very weak, vulnerable people that want to be that person that they're paying to be. It's a program I don't sign up for.
Yeah. I think the image matters a lot, like the type of image you portray, because like a lot of the kids nowadays, when the way they act is with the sense that I don't care how I look to other people. It just matters how I feel about myself. But like, especially in the world of business, first impressions matter a lot, and doing certain things have a big impact on your life. And I think people need to understand that. I'm just curious, like, what are your perspectives on like the first impression, like the image? Like, should you go out there and get spend a little more money on looking a little more sharp, like with your outfits, so you can garner a little bit more respect and stuff like that?
Yeah, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. Um, you don't have to spend a lot of money to look sharp. Um, so I think you should always look respectable. I think that comes with pride. It's not to show off, and it's not a level of arrogance, but you should look how you feel, and that's proud and confident and strong. But I also think it depends on what you're walking into. Like if you're depending on the environment or the meeting that you're walking into, you should you should stand out, and you should look like somebody that somebody would want to hang around with, and you should look like, wow, this guy or girl's got it together. She's sharp. I love that word sharp. You look sharp, but you don't have to necessarily spend a lot of money. There's a lot of companies out there that provide great looking. Maybe the quality's not there, but the visual is sharp, and you could obtain being in a Tom Ford suit by going to, Primark, or one of these companies that offer the ability to, or H&M. There's just a lot of brands out there that can help you look the part, and then you work hard, you earn your money. I like the idea that you still shop in those places because you realize how hard it is to make money and how hard it is to keep money, and you never really needed that Tom Ford suit, and you shouldn't feel bad that you never got one. So it all depends how you talk to yourself, and it all depends how you rationalize or justify your actions, and what you want to be in this world.
So, on the topic of what you want to be, you said that you wanted to help people and that the money wasn't really important. Um, I want to understand why. Like, how do you come to be like that? Like, usually it's from your childhood or something that happened, like a specific experience. Why is it so important that you help people?
I don't know. Yeah, there's no specific experience. It's the ultimate reward for me is to connect somebody that needed a connection, to provide value for somebody that needed value. I know how hard it is in life to just get through the day sometimes. And if you can be a moment in that person's life that helped them get through that day, I don't know. I don't know what's more important than that.
Okay. I want to be respectful of your time, so I just have one more
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
Um, imagine there is a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who is not where he wants to be. He wants to be an entrepreneur. What actionable steps would you give him, like step one, two, and three, to take right now if he wants to slowly step up his life and get to where he wants to be?
I think if I was that kid and I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
I would find an industry that I'm passionate about, or a job function that I'm passionate about. And I would definitely use LinkedIn because you can use that and change your life. And I would do research. I would find an industry that I again passionate and I think I'd want to be in. I would find a company that, at least from the optics, looks like it's something that I would be interested in learning more. And then I would go and I would reach out to a C-level executive in that company, and I would send them a nice note. I would write a note and mail it there. I would email them. I would call them and say, I would introduce myself. Here's what I want to do. I'm not necessarily saying that I want a mentor, but I would love the ability to uh, just understand you as a person and what you've done and how you've got to this. Again, I love what you're doing because I, again, did my research and I feel like there's a connection there. And build a relationship with somebody while you're trying to figure out where you want to be in life. And if you find an individual or a company or a relationship that you can build from those actions, then you force yourself to be on a path to maybe work at that company, or maybe that person that you were building a relationship with has left and started their own company, and now because you've built a relationship they want to bring you on. Like, there's so many things can happen, but I know if you do nothing, nothing will happen. But if you're proactive about it and you get clever about embedding yourself somewhere, and there's really nothing better, or nothing that makes more sense than learning from somebody else that has already gone through it. That's why I love surrounding myself with my whole life much older people, because I soak up their wisdom like a sponge. I want more of it. That's my drug, is people's experiences, because I'll never achieve what they've experienced. And as a collective, I have all these different people around me with all their different skill sets and all their different industries they work in. The more of that I can absorb and learn from, I save myself making wrong decisions, or not being as wise as I think I've become over the last 42 years on this planet that I've been here. So that would be my advice. Be vulnerable. Tell them you want to help, but maybe they can give you some busy work or projects to work on. Maybe they can give you a brand to evaluate that they want to bring into their company or their stores. Like, you just ask, and just, like, again, provide value, and be vulnerable.
All right. I know I said that was the last question, but I just have like a really quick
No,
one.
it's rather than you tell me go, so I appreciate it. It's nice that you want to keep asking me.
Yeah. So like imagine for me at least, I'm 19 and I want to speak and I want to get like a big CEO as my mentor, for example, in I don't know, a public company, whatever. And you know that the CEO has doesn't have a lot of time. Like taking what you've said about kind of just connecting with them and saying like, "Hey, listen, I don't really want anything from you, but like your career inspires me. I'm young. I'm looking for a mentor." Like, and kind of around that kind of area. Like, how would I go about trying to get that person to want to be my mentor?
I may avoid the word mentor, because that could come across as a really
Transactional.
big commitment to on their part.
Yeah.
Um, it's got to be genuine, and it's got to be a CEO that you really connect with. Maybe you watch their videos. Yeah, I think you work it very cleverly and hard. I think you comment on all of their posts if they're actively on social. I think you start to become a familiar name to them, and you're always supporting their stuff. You're resharing their stuff. In your case, it's even a little bit easier, because you can invite them to be on your show, and you can have an hour. You can have them for an hour, right? And you can build something really strong there. But it's up to you to maintain it and nurture it, and not get offended if they don't get back to you right away, because again, they're probably busy, and just work it hard. But I would be a visible supporter of their work, because it helps justify you communicating with them that, hey, I really love what you're doing. I admire what you're doing. I think I would love to learn from you. They can validate that from all of your efforts by sharing their stuff and commenting on their stuff. I built some best friends, I would call now, and huge supporters of me, by meeting them on Twitter or by commenting on LinkedIn and keeping that momentum going. And never would have known them if I haven't done that. And you build that mutual respect for one another.
So if let's say so okay. So sorry. There's a CEO. For example, everyone works out. Like every CEO wants to be in great shape, but it's just really difficult for them because they don't have the time to do it. Um, if I really enjoy working out, wouldn't it be an option like to just be like, hey, if you don't have time for like a coffee chat, if I've already had him on the podcast or something like that, like we could go work out or something like that.
You could try. I get 90 of those LinkedIn messages of the day, and I hate them all. I'm like, you're either calling me fat and out of shape, and I don't, and you live in Singapore, like, or you live in the UK. How are you going to be my
Yeah.
personal trainer? So you're, I'm the wrong person for that question. But I like where you're going with it. You also want to look at you want to know your audience, right? So if they,
Where he's lacking.
yeah, or what he enjoys, and then you can further, you can, again, with serenity, being, I lost the word, being real about it. Maybe you also enjoy some of their hobbies that they've talked about or posted about, and you can come back to them with, oh, I just did, make up something. I just went trout fishing, and wow, what a great experience. You use this, are they oars? I don't even know any equipment for fishing, but did you use this one, or did you have this equipment? Like, find a common thread, but something that you also like, not some bullshit
Mm.
that you're just trying to schmooze with.
Yeah, be genuine.
Yeah.
All right, well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. I
I really
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Me too. It was a great conversation.
Yep.